Namaste. मेरा नाम मरियम है and I'm representing Smile for All. Welcome to our YouTube channel. आज का जो वीडियो है हम आपको एक जयपुर के फेमस राइटर से मुलाकात करवाएंगे और आपको राइटिंग और रीडिंग और एक करियर जो राइटिंग और एजुकेशन में बनना चाहिए उनके बारे में हम बताएंगे. तो thank you very much for watching and let's welcome Mrs. Dharmender Kanwar. As I said, she is a renowned writer of Jaipur. She's written several books on Jaipur's history, art history, and she has a lot of things to tell us about the career in writing and journalism in general. So welcome.
Thank you, and namaskar everybody who's watching this channel.
Great. So, Dharmender, tell me about your career in writing. How did you start? How did you think that you wanted to be a writer?
Well, like all writers, I would say it began with an interest in writing, in reading, because until you read, you don't really know what the world of writing really has in store for you. So, स्कूल के जो लास्ट 2-3 years थे उसमें मैंने रीडिंग तो was an ongoing passion, बट राइटिंग मैंने सीरियसली तब स्टार्ट किया. तो एंड आई समहाउ जब मैं लिख रही थी तो मुझे लगा दैट आई लव द फील ऑफ क्रिएटिंग समथिंग न्यू, ऑफ राइटिंग, एंड इट वाज जस्ट अ वेरी a kind of a high when I was writing. So that set me on track, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life.
Lovely. And I believe you've written a lot of books on Jaipur's art history.
Not really on Jaipur's art history, but on Rajasthan. Because as a travel writer, I started my career from Assam, Meghalaya, and I did small stories, short stories on some unknown areas, destinations there. And when we moved to Jaipur, I realized there was so much to discover, so much to write about. तो मैंने फिर अपना बेस राजस्थान बना लिया. So I traveled all around Rajasthan, and I observed, and in fact I'm still learning because there's so much to see and so much to learn. So my books are not just on Jaipur, but राजस्थान पे मैंने mainly लिखा है of different areas, different aspects of Rajasthan, whether it's the food, whether it's the fairs and festivals, art and craft. So that is an ongoing thing. I'm still at it.
Great. And I believe you've also written extensively about Maharani Gayatri Devi.
Yes. Out of all the books that I've written, my biographies of the late Rajmata Gayatri Devi are very special. I mean, I enjoyed writing them because it gave me an opportunity to be close to her, to interact with her almost on a daily basis. So to know more about her, to learn from her, this was an experience that not very many were fortunate enough to have. So yes, those books are very dear to me.
Great. And ye to, like, you're also a food critic for Times of India. How did you go from writing about history and culture and art and moving to being a food critic?
That's very interesting because I'm not a great cook. But the first book, cookbook that I did was for the late Rajmata. She had done a book in 1969-70 called Gourmet's Gateway, and that was out of print. So she called me one day and she said, I have this book, but I don't have very many copies of this. So can we do it again? Can we reprint it? So I was more than happy to do it. So I worked on that book. And I mean, we changed the whole look of it and put in pictures because there were no pictures in the original book. फिर ये हुआ कि वो जब book publish हुई तो everybody sort of thought that I was an expert on food. And the interesting part was that even Rajmata wasn't a great cook. She couldn't cook, and nor I as the editor could cook. But we put this book together and it did very well. So when people saw that book, they thought that they required something on food, I was the right person to do it. So I was approached. And I was always very nervous after the books were done, because I've done some 4 cookbooks, that and I avoided giving interviews because I felt if somebody asks me details about ये कैसे बनाया वैसे बनाया, I would be clueless. I mean, some of the ingredients also I didn't know about, so I would just pretend that yes,
अब ये confession दे रहे हैं camera पे.
So, but this was like I'm talking about some 15 years ago. But gradually, and then I was approached by the Times of India to that was simpler because understanding food and what you like and what's good about a restaurant and things. So that was a totally different kind of experience, which I enjoyed. So yes, food writing is also something that I've been doing.
Wow. So the entire world of writing, I think it's brilliant. A lot of young viewers that are watching today, they're very keen on getting into writing, but they're not sure of a career and what the future holds for writers in general. So some advice to those children.
See, for anybody to be a writer, like I said at the beginning, that you have to be a voracious reader, because without reading, you're not really going to. It's like being in a closed room with all the doors and windows shut. You don't know what's happening in the outside world. So you have to open your doors. You have to read what other people are writing. You have to study their styles, the content, the way they convey whatever the subject may be, which is why reading is very important. So for anybody wanting to be a writer, that would be the first step. So once they get into it, then you learn as you go along. So there's no shortcut to it कि मुझे ये करना है तो मैं अभी ये ऐसे लिख लूँ तो सब कुछ हो जाएगा ठीक. नहीं होता है. It's an ongoing process. वो चलता रहता है. You make mistakes and you learn from them and you carry on. और फिर लिखने का ये है कि you have to write every single day. You can't do this कि अभी 1 महीने बाद में चलो मेरा मन कर गया तो ये लिखने. It's like like any other whichever field you may be in, until you practice,
Correct.
You will not perfect your art. So
Correct.
that's that.
तो whoever's watching, पहले तो आपको रीडिंग करना चाहिए, बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. मैं खुद भी एक राइटर हूँ. मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्ट है कंटेंट में, रीडिंग में. तो बहुत ज़रूरी होता है, जैसे धर्मेंद्र मैम ने बताया कि पहले आप रीड करो, रीडिंग में जाओ. कोई इंटरेस्टिंग सब्जेक्ट जो आपके मन में अच्छा लगे कि ओके आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन स्पोर्ट्स और आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन लाइक आर्ट, पहले वो स्टार्ट करो, रीडिंग स्टार्ट करो पहले, and then continue, and then obviously you'll get into writing. And Dharmender, we have, as you know, that Smile for All is an NGO that's working for the betterment and upliftment of slum and underprivileged children. तो वो बच्चों को तो बिल्कुल एक्सेस बुक्स का होता नहीं है. तो वो आपको कैसे लगता है that how should we approach a system like that where the children don't even have access to books to read?
I don't think that really is such an issue now, because with organizations like
Smile for All,
Smile for All, I mean, education is accessible, and once you get to school, and most schools have libraries, and books are not so difficult to procure now as they were, say, 20 years ago, even 30 years ago. Now with internet, now almost every child has a phone and he has internet.
Right.
So you have access to ebooks. And with proper education, they just need to be guided in the right direction, that this is where you can get your reading material. So I think they have a lot of opportunities, and if they are being guided to schools and they are getting good education, then this will follow automatically. So I don't think it's a major issue now.
Okay, great. All right. So as you know, Smile for All is working for underprivileged children. हम बहुत सारे हमारे volunteers हैं पूरे देश में, अभी बांग्लादेश में भी, जो बहुत मेहनत से इन बच्चों को पढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं और उनको schools में भी enroll करवा रहे हैं. So of course, reading now becomes easier. The main concern here would be that how would children inculcate this habit of reading, right? So I think a lot of branch of the situation will fall, or the effort is on the teacher as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, of course. See, if we're talking of a child taking up writing,
Mhm.
then regardless of whether there is a teacher to guide him or not, the child will find ways and means of getting reading material.
Mhm.
तो अब ज़रूरी ये है कि वो कितना सीरियसली उसको ले रहा है. अगर वो पढ़ना चाहता है बच्चा, तो वो अपने लिए क्रिएट करेगा अपॉर्चुनिटी.
Mhm.
सो आई डोंट थिंक ही इज टोटली डिपेंडेंट ऑन टीचर्स. अभी इफ ही जस्ट स्टार्टिंग आउट, अभी स्कूल जैसे स्टार्ट कर रहा है, तो मे बी उसको थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा ढूंढने में. अब सी लाइक राइटिंग, the same would be true in sports.
Hmm.
I mean, they don't always have all the equipment, the gear,
Hmm.
but if they are passionate about something, they will find the way
Correct.
and the means to do it. So it's the same with writing.
Very, very true. And now, you know, journalism is another area of writing where actually students can make a career in. What do you think is the state of affairs of journalism in the country today? Is that a viable career option, do you think?
Yes, there are, I would say, many more opportunities now than there were some years ago. Because now, with the internet and with so much content being pushed online, youngsters now have a lot of scope. I mean, they can do their blog, they can start their websites, and these are not expensive things to do. So they have means of reaching out to readers, of putting their words across where they are read. So journalism, I mean, see, like all fields, it has its ups and downs, and there are good journalists and there are not so good journalists, but it depends on the individual.
Right.
But there is a lot of scope. I would say that if somebody is passionate about journalism, about writing, definitely this is an area that they should explore.
Great. And some advice on which programs in the country are good for journalism, if you have knowledge on that, like is it JNU or whatever.
There are so many. So now it's difficult to just name one and say that they should go there. Now I would say more than 50% comes from teaching yourself, of learning, and then maybe honing your skills. Then once you specialize, then you go for maybe a university, or you work for a newspaper, you learn on the job. Now there's no limit to the kind of universities that are available, where you can enroll.
Great. And Abhi Dharmender Kaur kya kar rahi hai? What is she busy with, and what is the plan ahead for you?
As a writer, that's all I am doing. So it's not as if I'm in films or something,
Right,
which is the
right.
next film
So
that's
which is-
coming. So I'm working on a couple of projects.
Okay.
So for me that's an ongoing thing. So these last few years have been a little bad for all fields.
True.
So writing has also suffered, but yes, things are beginning to look up, and I am involved in some projects right now.
Great. And जाने से पहले, can you shed some light on the importance of education for underprivileged children and the work that Smile for All is doing? Be great.
Yes, I think Smile for All is doing commendable work, and to make a difference, education would be the first step, because without education you don't even know what the child is capable of doing, what his qualities are, what his capabilities are. So I think they're doing a wonderful job, and the children may not realize it now, but they'll thank you after some years, once they realize how it's going to change their lives, and what careers they take up. It's all going to this will be the base, and this is going to help them in their future activities.
Great. And दर्शकों please support कीजिए ऐसे projects जो होते हैं ना, Smile for All जैसे. It's a very important way ahead for the country, and we don't realize, but हमारे लिए जैसे 500 rupees जो होता है वो ज़्यादा नहीं होता है. एक price of a pizza होता है, I can give that up anytime. But for that child, it changes its world, it changes its future, and what it can visualize its life to be. Don't you agree?
Yes, it's 100%.
Very true. Great. So I want to thank you for all your valuable advice, and I'm sure that our viewers, volunteers, and our children that we're helping will benefit from this. So thank you again,
Thank
and
you.
keep writing. We're very glad to have you. Thank you.